Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the internet and welcome to my channel. It's me, Odio, and I'm here today to do a perfectly fine review for you. It's Garfield, the movie, 2024. And yeah, I just purred when I did that. I rolled that way. Thanks so much for being here. I gotta say right out the gate, I'm a pretty big Garfield fan. I used to read the funny comics way back in the day with my dad. I'd be eating the cereal, he'd get the newspaper in the morning, I'd always go for the back page, and I loved them. Garfield was always one of my favorites. Marmaduke was up there too, and the Phantom, all the old comic strips were pretty fun. So I've been a pretty big fan of Garfield for a long time, and of course Odie. And I've been around long enough. I watched the old cartoon as well. Lorenzo Music, doing the voice for him, was always he's classic, iconic. He is Garfield. Whenever you hear that old voice, you know that that's Garfield coming. I remember in the old comic strip, John buys Garfield at a pet shop. And then later on in the strip, a guy named Lyman moves in. And he owns Odie. And he's there for a while. And then one day he's just gone. I don't really know why, but Odie's still there. They do find him later on, actually. I'm pretty sure that at the end of Garfield and Friends, I think it's the last episode or one of the last episodes, they actually go find Lyman. And Odie goes back to his original owner. But he comes back because he loves Garfield. Used to love that show. Garfield always getting playing pranks on Odie and kicking him off the table and stuff. It was good times. I love all the old movies too. They're classics. The Christmas one gets played at my house every year. Well, anyways, time to get on to this new Garfield movie for 2024. So this Garfield starts off, pretty nice animation. This one's clearly directed for kids and clearly for a new generation. I don't really think they're going for the classic Garfield feel here, but he looks right, and you kind of get an opening story of him being abandoned in a dark and stormy night in an alley by his dad. And then he has nowhere to go. He's a troubled little kitten. He looks cute, though. And of course, he sees John Arbuckle in a restaurant across the street eating some Italian food, Garfield's favorite. So he worms his way in there and meets John, and John thinks he's so cute, buys him a lasagna, and takes him home. And when he gets home, away we go. This is my favorite part of the movie. When he first gets back, Odie is there, and you see Garfield pigging out and just, in general, acting very much like Garfield. Chris Pratt is the voice of Garfield. It's okay. I found him pretty good as Mario. Lorenzo Music really sticks in my mind. I honestly, even Bill Murray, he had done a couple of movies earlier on in the 2000s, and he kind of tried to sound like Lorenzo. It's not the dopey kind of low, hey, what's going? Yeah, I don't think so, John. That's not going to happen. Not that. This is a very energetic Garfield, and he's no longer mean. That's a big loss for me. I don't know. Garfield is known for he's sarcastic. He's a jerk. He eats all the food. He's always tricking Odie, kicking him off tables, left, right, center. You're always seeing him he used to do diagrams. He would show us Odie's brain was just all tongue. He'd always trick him and lock him out or lock him into a box or something like that. Him and Nermal. Garfield was just a total jerk. It was fantastic. But he's extremely nice in this. Him and Odie are like good friends. They hang out and do stuff together. And I mean, they're always really good friends. Just like I said earlier, Odie does come back to Garfield, but that's kind of like a deep down thing. Garfield's supposed to openly and incessantly mock him and John. Garfield's supposed to be kind of, the jerk. And it works. It's really funny. But in this, it's still there. The humor's still there. It's good. It's a bit of fun. A lot of the jokes don't land. They're very safe. They're kind of bland and tame. I was really looking for the edge of Garfield. It didn't have that distinct feel. But we get on our little adventure, and out of nowhere, when he's hanging out with Odie at night, trying to get a late night snack, they get abducted. Someone comes in and just grabs the both of them. So after they get abducted, we get taken to the hideout of our evil cat, Jinx. It's a big white cat with a cool collar. She's a lady cat, quite badass, has a couple of goons with her, a great big dog and a little small one. Really reminds me of those old Hefty bag commercials, the garbage bag ones. Hefty, whippy, whippy. So they get taken there and they realize Garfield and Odie aren't really part of anything. They're just pawns because it's his dad, the one that abandoned him at the beginning of the movie. It's about him, and Jinx is trying to get back at him for some milk that he stole, and she had to go to the pound and go for 5 years for and stuff. So it was all about that. So Garfield's just there to be used as a pawn in that. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to leave then. But she then sends him and his dad and Odie off all to work together to put off a big heist and collect all the milk and pay her back. Jinx gives an interesting little reason that I just think that it's funny that you guys hate each other. That's why I'm sending you off on your adventure together. So then they go off. They have to try to do a whole heist and get the milk. Same thing. It's a little bit generic, but they go and you have a look at the whole milk plant and things. There's some fun jokes with him and his dad. Obviously, he doesn't like his dad. He feels like he got abandoned a long time ago. Odie's just kind of along for the ride. They've left the house from John after they've been abducted. He finds the fridge and everything. He's really not in it a lot. I really wanted some more John. I like him to be either in on the adventure or consistently scolding Garfield for like doing something wrong, but we don't get a lot of him here. So to get in and steal the milk, they have to kind of get some help. They meet a giant bull named Otto. He used to live in there, and he wants to save his girlfriend. She's in there, so we get a little exhilarating story about how they met, and they're in love, and now he's out, and she's still in there getting milk, basically. And he wants to get her out, so he's going to help them. So then we get a nice training montage of them learning how to do everything. Otto is voiced by Ving Rhames, and he is by far my favorite character in this movie. He's funny, interesting. He gives them directions and pretty much calls them stupid because he needs them to get along. He ties Garfield and his dad Vic. His dad Vic, also played by Sam L. Jackson. He's actually pretty good. I enjoy his voice acting was pretty interesting as well. Yeah, and Vic's a new character for me. I don't recall seeing him before. I do remember a speech somewhere from I think it was in the cartoon, saying that his dad, I thought, was like a mouser in the lineage of mousers, and he was like off on his own. But yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Vic's here, and he's great. So he's another really interesting character. So once they bond, they find out Garfield learns that his dad didn't really abandon him. He was going off to the trash to get some food. He came back, Garfield was gone. He saw how happy he was with John, so he left him there and wanted him to have a good life type thing. And they kind of sort of reconnect a little bit, but they got to go in and do this mission, and they got to steal all the milk and avoid the pine cone. They say to avoid the pine cone a lot. It's just part of the mission plan. So they go down there and they break in, go to get the milk. Things go awry. And the dad ends up abandoning Garfield again, it seems, and drives away with all the milk. Otto tries to save them, gets driven away with a cattle prod, and Odie and Garfield are off to the pound. And he's on the way to the pound. A lot of people say they don't like working with Vic because he's so obsessed with his son, always watching him from an oak tree and putting notches in there. Garfield gets picked up by John. Yes, thankfully, John's back. He's it's really different seeing John in this, but he's nice. It's played okay. He's not a very interesting character in this. He does not have a big role or big impact. Although he gets them out of the pound. That's great. He looks pretty disheveled. And then he's stuffing Garfield and stuff. And Garfield feels like his dad betrayed him and left him again. And when he gets home, he checks the oak tree and sees that all the marks are actually there. So his dad was always checking on him, and he realizes he's got to go help him or Jinx is going to really ruin him. And his dad actually he did ditch him this time, but it was more because it seems like he thought he knew John would get him. And when he brings the milk back to Jinx, she's not letting him go anyway. We set up a very old-fashioned kind of train killing. I thought at first they were going to tie him to the tracks and have the train come, but no, they're going to get on the train and she's going to throw him off a bridge. So as they're riding the train to go throw Vic off, Jinx kind of really does remind me of Cruella de Vil. She's got that laugh, kind of evil, has the two henchmen, so I really got that vibe from her, which is kind of fun. And so Garfield and them, they know that they're going to get the dad thrown off the train, so they go set up a net with Odie, and there's a whole plan. Like I said, it's all right. It feels like it's something I've seen in other movies before. It doesn't feel very Garfield-y. I don't remember a train chase and all this stuff it doesn't seem like a Garfield thing to do, but I mean, okay, honestly, so far the most interesting characters are Vic and Otto. And Otto was here for this final chase too. He helps out. They have a great plan. It's fun to watch. They're shooting a catapult off. He's getting knocked back and forth by the train. You get gripping few moments where you're not sure where he's going to land. You get another really funny moment. when Garfield gets shot from a catapult, Garfield lands right onto the train, and Jinx is like, "You're gonna like the next part, Vic," because she's coming up to the bridge, and Garfield just smashes into her. I mean, my daughter cracked up laughing when that happened. That was like one of the funniest parts of the movie. I really did like that one. Then we get an exhilarating little train scene where Garfield and his dad jump off, but they land on the net but shoot back up. Then there's a whole final scene where it ends pretty good. Oh, I guess I don't want to spoil the whole ending too much, but long story short, they all end up having to fall out of the side of the train, and Jinx ends up getting her plan foiled. We get a fantastic little scene after that where Jinx is getting traded with the milk back to the security guard who runs the center, and they're trading it for the cow for Otto. So Otto gets a happy ending with the cow. Garfield and Odie go home. There's like a couple of little talking points with the dad, but of course he ends up coming to live at the house with John and everybody. And that's pretty much the end of it. And they show a couple of funny scenes at the end where like they all have their chairs and they're like fat and being lazy, but Vic, the dad, is like even lazier and has like an even bigger chair and he's even fatter. Kind of seems like he's taking the place of Garfield. It was all right. It was an okay movie. I gotta say, it's gonna be aimed at the younger generation, so just expect that going in. If you have a younger kid, I think they'll really like it. My younger daughter loved it. She laughed at a whole bunch of parts. She liked the cat. So I mean, it didn't quite nail it for me. For me, it didn't feel distinctly Garfield. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of lip service, I would say, but it's like John and Odie were very lacking in the movie. Garfield was far too nice. He should be way meaner. Like locking Odie out, kicking him off the table though. That was in almost every panel. Like he always kicks him off the table. I wanted some of his famous lines like "nice touch" and some of his sarcasm. Like Garfield in the old Christmas special, I always laughed every year. He would give a line like whoever, or I think it was the Christmas special. I just think it was missing some of the Garfield bite. Like, he and almost all the drug out in the street and shot. Never got said once. He should have said he wished someone would have to get drug out in the street and shot. He said it the Christmas special, the Halloween special, in the old cartoon. Like, it was a pretty common phrase. I mean, I don't know. So like I said, pretty good movie. It's a decent movie to go watch with your kid at the theater. It's inoffensive fun. It's pretty bland, but it's generally entertaining. I had an okay time with it. Just keeping in mind, it's not going to be sticking to what if you're an older fan, what you're looking for there. But like I said, for the new ones, my daughter seemed to like it. I don't know if there's going to be more, but we'll see how many times she watches it. If we go back to the theater, how many times she watches it when it comes out, we'll see. But overall, not my favorite movie of the year, but an okay time at the movie theater. But thanks so much for watching this far. I really appreciate that. Please like and subscribe. And remember, everybody, stay out of trouble.